afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie Dolph. I am doing a presentation on managing aggression with de-escalation. Aggression in a healthcare setting is a safety concern for patients and the staff. De-escalation techniques are a form of communication utilized by psychiatric nurses in an attempt to reduce aggression. The focus on this project is to point out positive impact de-escalation techniques have on managing aggressive behavior and reducing the need for physical interventions. Some of the methods that I've used was conducting a literature search using CINAHL, I guess you pronounce it, Medline, and Google Scholar. I searched for articles from 2008 to 2013. I had some difficulty finding articles, so I used a wide variety of different terms. De-escalation, crisis intervention, and aggression. Crisis intervention is a term that is often used in place of de-escalation. Managing aggressive behavior and aggression in psychiatric nursing. So I found this to be a very difficult subject to research. I had a lot of resistance with articles. A lot of the articles that I have found were talking about how de-escalation techniques were not found to be any significant difference with the severity of incidents, concluding that training did not improve de-escalation skills, or staff found these skills difficult to put into practice. De-escalation techniques, however, were helpful to patients because they thought that nurses sought to calm agitated patients, to help them regain control of their behavior and prevent further aggression incidents from occurring, and overall improve safety among all members involving patients and peers and employees are identified to be useful with de-escalation techniques. I feel that de-escalation techniques do work. I use it in practice all the time. I include in de-escalation would be your facial movements and expressions, your body language, what you can do to kind of validate people's feelings, not really giving them advice rather than just being there to listen and just kind of understand what they're saying, as long with limit setting, where I find setting limits with especially adolescent kids works extremely well. The discussion that I was hoping to set was aggressive behavior jeopardizes the health and well-being of both staff and patient, and it negatively impacts the unit's milieu. How I relate to that is that when someone is agitated, going off, the entire milieu can be disrupted, especially when kids are fragile and someone is going off. It could cause them to go off and creating multiple issues occurring on the unit. De-escalation techniques include managing others in the environment. So usually what happens if there's an issue on my unit, we have someone that kind of gets all the kids together and brings them to another room and gets them focused on a different task. You also explain to someone what the staff member intends to do. So for another example is that if someone has an unsafe object, you just be like, oh, Jim, I'm just going to grab this object, it's unsafe. You want to give clear, brief, and assertive instructions. So again, this is like limit setting, where you want to be, whatever issue you're in, you want to make sure that what you want to be put across, whether it's like calming down, taking space, you want to say, you know what, Jim, I see that you're agitated, why don't you take some space in your room? Kind of, or giving them an option too, is like, you seem agitated, why don't you take space in your room, or the quiet room. A lot of times we offer the quiet room in a sense that it has padded mats, and sometimes people feel like punching something to get out that energy, so we'd rather have them punch something soft than punching walls or someone else. Also ask for facts about the problem. Sometimes people just get pissed off for no reason, and we just really need to figure out why they got upset. It could have been that another patient brought up certain like an abuse story, and that just triggered them to their abuse story. And you want to ensure, again, that the nonverbal communication is non-threatening. You want to make sure that you are in a mutual position, that you are not crossing your arms, kind of like tense or anything, because people can pick up on your nonverbal communication. I found this chart to be extremely helpful. Here is initiating, so I feel like the coming together part, so again with the initiating, you're initiating these behaviors. With experimenting, you can have kids experimenting what they can do, so they might start like throwing some papers, and that intensifies throwing papers into like destroying something. And again, when you come up to the relational maintenance, is I feel like these two groups come together. So you want to bond, kind of differentiate. Like I usually like to give positive reinforcement. So if I see someone ripping up papers and then picking that up, and I just say, "Thank you, Jill. Like that was really helpful for picking up that piece of paper." And sometimes that can kind of get them into being like, "Hey, they're recognizing me for what I'm doing positively." Something that's really comes apart is avoiding or terminating, like especially with terminating relationships. If someone's leaving, that's usually when we get a lot of problems, especially if they've been there for so long. Also avoiding is that I see any staff kind of avoiding a situation. That's probably the worst thing you can do, because then they can do whatever they need to do. And the conclusion is being exposed to verbal aggression can leave emotional and psychological scars that can interfere with the ability to function at work. A lot of people do feel upset with things that kids can say to them, especially everyone has a hot button issue, so it's kind of best to figure out what bothers you most if someone brings it up, and it's like it could be something like, "Hey, you're fat," or "ugly," and that just could completely destroy someone's like feelings and could really cause them to become upset. So it's kind of drawing that line, and if you get too agitated, maybe switching off with someone who works with you. And you want to see again, the patients view de-escalation techniques as a positive nursing intervention, while staff members do not view these techniques as helpful. I thought that was extremely interesting in the research, because you wouldn't think that something that someone sees as not helpful, someone sees as a positive intervention. So I think it's definitely a subject that needs a lot more research, and it needs to be conducted in order to research the right skills are being utilized. I see some people might think de-escalation as something else that I might see de-escalation as. So where I'm maybe crossing my arm, someone would know that that's a nonverbal communication that may be appearing threatening. So it's that everyone's on the same page, and I really believe that more research should come into this, because de-escalating anyone is a great skill for any nurse or any staff member to have, because as we all know, we run into people who can start showing aggressive behaviors, whether it be over finding out you can't go home because they want to monitor you in the hospital, or that while you're in the hospital you find out something horrible has happened to one of your family members and you can't be there at that time. So it's just like a lot of skills that I believe that are good with dealing with aggression or even any kind of behavior. I think the de-escalation shows us a lot, even with anxiety, and kind of figuring out like how to reason with people and making sure that they have the right plans and situations going on. So again, I apologize for not being in class. I've had a couple of family deaths, and I've just been kind of hanging out. So again, I apologize. If anyone has any questions or anything at all, please feel free to either email me. I would love to do a video if everyone kind of has the same question. My email is Dolph Natalie, so my last name, that's DOLPH Natalie at gmail.com, or you can post a question and I will respond to whoever has a question. Everyone have a great ending to your semester, and again, thank you for allowing this to happen.